早上好，那就好。So first and foremost, I want to thank China-U.S. Forum for having me, Louis Liu. Really amazing job. I was asking earlier, when do you ever sleep? And you just don't. And also, he is a Shanghai brother, so next up, I want to recognize Minister Counselor Tian De-you, and really thank you so much. And our organization works very closely with the embassy here and the Chinese government in general. So we want to keep that relationship growing as we strengthen ties between the U.S. and China. So that's very important to us. And also, I'm really excited to hear from Kaiser as well. I used to live in China for a while, and I remember seeing his name with regards to his rock band and musician-related work, and I'm looking forward to working more with you in the very future. And I'm looking forward to hearing from Director Victor Hoskins as well too, and working with you in terms of connecting and developing economic development throughout this area. So thank you so much, particularly with this U.S.-China relationship. So firstly, my name is Morgan Jones. My Chinese name is Zhang Ming. And how did I get into Chinese language is what I'm going to first talk about. And then connect that to our organization. I have 5 quick points about our group, the U.S.-China Strong Foundation, also known as Jung Chiang. And then I'm going to close with sort of a wrap-up about everything and hopefully bring everything to full circle with regards to the U.S.-China relationship and how that connects to my organization. Firstly, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, so I'm just a city kid from Brooklyn. I was originally interested in China because I'd see certain Chinese shows on TV. My father took Kung Fu for about 10 years, and that was a big motivational factor for me. I went to high school, and when I was in high school, I hung out with everybody. It didn't matter if they were black, they were white, they were Latino, Latina. It was okay, but some reason, some of the Chinese folks in my school, some Chinese Americans, wanted to connect with me on a deeper level in high school. And so they started off by teaching me some of the bad words, unfortunately. My wife tells me, don't use those bad words. And she's Shanghainese too. And then it went from, let's sing karaoke at the Asia Society group. And then it went from that to, I want to invite you to my home, and you're going to be the first black person to come into my house. And we're going to cook food for you, and you're going to eat it all. And then I started to learn more about what it's like to be in a Chinese household and be around Chinese culture. And that made me think, gosh, I want to learn this language. And so I managed to get a scholarship through the Posse Foundation, and I got a full ride to go to Middlebury College in Vermont, Mingde Daxue. And then I went from there, studied abroad in Beijing in 2002, then graduated with a Chinese major in college. Then I went to the Hopkins Nanjing program at Zhongmei. And then I graduated from that and moved into Shanghai, where I worked for a while doing some work in PR and radio show hosting. I was a Chinese language radio show host for 3 years, so that's why I speak and do all that kind of stuff. Then I wanted to move back and give back to my community. I worked at the YMCA of Greater New York. Then I worked in the New York City Mayor's office under Mayors Bloomberg and de Blasio. Then I worked and I did a lot with emergency management and Hurricane Sandy stuff. So when I hear about disasters that happen in China, I also think back to my relationship in terms of working in the New York City government with regards to responding to Hurricane Sandy or Sangdi Zhufeng. And then after that, I had this opportunity to work with the U.S.-China Strong Foundation and really leverage my skills of working in large organizations. I also have an MBA from Cornell and really bridge the gap between building operations in an organization, but at the same time, connecting this important China-U.S. relationship, and that leads me to my organization. So my 5 quick points. Number 1, we used to be called the 100,000 Strong Foundation, and as Louis mentioned earlier, we were founded under President Obama as an initiative in 2009. And then later on, we built out this foundation between 2012 and 2013, and our goal was to get 100,000 Americans to study abroad in China. And we met that goal in 2014, which is great. But you have 100,000 strong, but there's still so much more to China, so much more to the language and bridging the gap between these two countries. So we added on a new initiative, and this is brought upon through President Obama again and President Xi, which is the 1 million strong initiative, which is getting students from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, getting 1 million students to learn Mandarin by the year 2020. It's a big goal, and we're working with many schools and local governments and initiatives nationwide to ensure that more Americans learn Mandarin. And then we also have this program called the U.S.-China Alumni Network. So basically, that's about, you study this language, you studied abroad, but what do you do afterward? How do you find a job? How do you find mentors that you can work with that can kind of guide you through the process of, you've learned this language, now you want to make an impact to it on a larger scale. And so we're developing a U.S.-China Alumni Network, which is completely new. And because of all these big goals, we needed to turn our name from 100,000 strong to U.S.-China strong to really cover everything. And this actually happened when Senator Kerry visited China in June with Minister Liu, and this people-to-people exchange meeting, and that's where we created our new name, and we've never turned back since. So there's a big gap. This is my second point. Big gap between U.S.-China. There's some 300 million learners of English in China. There's about 30% of our international students in America are Chinese, and that's only going up. But we need to make sure that we're increasing that on our end as Americans and in America. And so that's the focus of our relationship and making sure that we meet this gap. We have a lot of cultural exchange that we're working with. We have an ambassadors program that we built where we have 500 students from all over the nation that are selected by our signature partners. These are various schools, institutions, education organizations, and we're leveraging these 500 students from all these age groups and levels, mostly high school up to college, to develop projects and programs that are going to be able to connect U.S. and China relations. This is going to roll into the U.S.-China Alumni Network that I spoke about, and we want to build that out to at least 20,000 overall. So some of you here might be hearing from me very soon. Next up, there's people-to-people exchange that I just mentioned. Again, we have very high-level people-to-people exchange that we do between federal governments here and the central government in China. And so we have those connections to our organization, and that's what helps us ensure that we have credibility for what we do and that we stick to our goals and we're responsible for all of our goals to get as many Americans as possible aware and knowing about China and what's happening in China. And then lastly, again, 100,000 strong, we're already beating that. 1 million strong, these are really big goals. 20,000 towards our alumni network, for U.S.-China Alumni Network. We have serious goals in order for us to make this happen. We're actually working on opening an office in Beijing as we speak. Our CEO is based here, Carolyn McGifford. Our president is based in Beijing and moved all 4 of his kids over to Beijing, his entire family, to do this, so we're really dedicated. And then I came in from New York City to be the chief operating officer for this organization to make this happen. So in closing, the council mentioned a good amount with regards to study abroad and Americans coming to China to study abroad, but we need to increase that. And I see that from my own personal experience of learning Mandarin, my own personal experience of studying abroad in China, that there has to be a greater connection to help us meet those gaps. And it's organizations like this, like the China-US Forum, what we're doing with U.S.-China Strong, and other networks that are happening throughout the nation in order to ensure that this happens. But if we're able to leverage our partnerships and our connections to improve on that, improve on getting more teachers to be here, better curriculums to be here, tech, using online services to help us make this happen, and through the likes of everyone in this room, we'll be able to even make an even stronger U.S.-China relationship. And finally, if you have your cell phone with you, go to uschinastrong.org. That's our website. We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. You might be seeing us with WeChat, who knows? Make sure that you contact me. I'd love to meet everyone here and talk with everyone here about what we do. And 非常感谢，谢谢。